If you ever said, I'll get back on track when work slows down, or once this trip is over, I'll dial it back in, this episode is for you. Because here's the truth. Your body does not reflect your schedule. It reflects your standards. Every guy I work with says the same thing. I've tried many approaches to improve my health, but what I've been missing is proper nutritional guidance and accountability. I start my day strong, black coffee, a protein bar, but by the end of the day, I've slipped. And they always end that sentence with, because I got busy. Here's what I always tell them. You're not slipping because you got busy. You're slipping because your standards change when you get busy. That's what separates men who look like they lift from the ones who used to lift. One group lives by a standard, the other lives by circumstances. And let's be real, discipline is not your problem. You're very disciplined in your career. You show up for your team. You lead your family. But when it comes to fitness, your discipline becomes conditional. You say things like, I was good all week until the weekend, or I didn't have time to prep meals this week, or I had client dinners back to back. And I totally understand. I've been there, especially in the family setting. When I was building my business, I'd tell myself, this is temporary. Once I hit my next milestone, I will start focusing on myself again. But here's the punch in the gut that I had to face. My body wasn't falling apart because of my schedule. It was falling apart because of my standards. I'm just as busy now as I was back then, but my standards for myself have changed. They've gotten higher, and now I step up to the plate with my physique and my business. Here's the reframe that ultimately changed everything for me and my clients. My body reflects my standards, not my schedule. When your standards are high, you don't need perfect conditions to execute. You travel, you still hit your protein goal. You're tired, you still move your body to some extent. You have family dinner, you eat intentionally and enjoy it without guilt. I had a client who used to travel twice a week for work. He'd tell me, I can't stay consistent on the road. So I told him, you don't have a travel problem. You have a standard problem. Once he started to see himself as the guy who eats 180 grams of protein a day, no matter where he is, everything changed. Because he was intentional in finding ways to meet that goal. And yes, he had to be creative, but that's what it takes to get your dream body and truly see results. And once you're intentional about it over the course of time, it'll come naturally to you. And if you're in your 30s, 40s, and 50s, your metabolism isn't slowing down. Your consistency is. You don't need a new diet. You don't need a new identity filter, okay? Here's a question I want you to ask yourself before every decision. Would the man I want to become make this choice? The man who's confident in his body doesn't need motivation. He has standards. He doesn't restart every Monday. He just recalibrates daily. He doesn't say, oh, I fell off. He says, I adjusted. And that's the foundation of Built Bodies coaching. We don't build fantasy physiques. We build bodies that fit your real life, your family, the culture that you live around, your business, all of it. Because fitness that doesn't fit your reality truly isn't sustainable. But when your standards rise, your life starts to align because every decision you make works towards this future version of yourself that you've been working towards for a while. Let's make this practical, okay? Here's what living by standards looks like in real life scenarios. Let's start with nutrition first. First, you hit your protein goal, no matter what. You follow an 80-20 rule. 80% structured, nutrient-dense food, 20% is allowed to come from not so nutrient-dense food, maybe in the form of snacks or alcohol. Tracking on weekends, even if loosely, because awareness is much better than perfection. The awareness that you have by tracking some of your meals on the weekend allows you to make better decisions when you go out to eat later that night. Let's talk about training. I never skip 2 days in a row. I do my absolute best to avoid that. Even 30 minutes counts. Something always beats nothing. Sometimes I find myself going to the gym and just doing my warm-up. At least I showed up for myself that day and did not skip the gym, because it's important that my identity aligns with that of someone who doesn't skip out on their gym workouts. And here's your lifestyle standards. Minimum 6.5 hours of sleep a night, and that's pushing it. Accomplishing a step goal of at least 7,000 to 8,000 steps a day is something that'll help keep you healthy and keep energy burning. And listen, you do not have to be perfect. You just have to stop being conditional. Here's a mindset exercise that'll change your self-talk overnight. Every time that you catch yourself making an excuse, I want you to reframe it into a truth. I didn't have time turns into I didn't make it a priority. I skipped my workout turns into my standard for discipline wasn't high enough. I overate turns into I didn't manage my emotions well tonight. And that's okay, because once you see the truth, you can start to raise your standard and make better decisions that are more in alignment with your goals. Excuses are just evidence of what your current standards are. If you raise a standard, the evidence starts to change. Here's what I want to leave you with. You don't rise to your goals, you fall to your standards. Your schedule will always be full. Your kids will always have something going on. Your business will always demand more of you. But your body, your energy, your confidence, those things reflect you. Not your meetings, not your calendar, not your chaos. Just your standards. Once you solve this, you may run into another problem that so many men deal with every single weekend, and that is weekend guilt from enjoying yourself a little too much. I made this video in order to help you solve that problem. You can check it out right here.